Hi there, my name is Onjali Rauf and I am the author of a book called The Star Outside My Window. Now, The Star Outside My Window features a young girl called Anaya, and Anaya is very, very special. She believes in the stars, she believes in constellations, she loves anything to do with the night sky and anything to do with stars, and she has a deep love of those things because of a certain character called Simba. Now, Simba features in The Lion King, and The Lion King plays a very, very, very big part in Anaya's story. And it's a story that begins with her and her brother having to go into foster care and going on the hunt for a star, which is very, very important to them. Now, this adventure centres around something that we don't see very much in literature, in children's literature, and that is children who are in foster care, children who have been through quite traumatic things and are trying to find a way of understanding those things. And in particular, children who might have had to go into foster care because of domestic violence and abuse. Now, it's not a topic or subject that a lot of grown-ups or adults are very comfortable in talking about, even as adults and to adults. So it is very difficult to confront those issues with children, but the more I look into children's literature, the more I see that actually these voices exist. We just don't label them as voices that might belong to a survivor of domestic abuse and violence or to a survivor of something else. Now, voices and having a variety of voices in literature, and especially in children's literature, is so crucial because it forges the foundation of what we take forward as adults and what we use to view the world and understand the world from a very young age. Now, I'm going to talk to you about some of the voices in children's literature that I grew up with and that I have loved and come to admire in current children's literature. And my first kind of foray into trying to understand other people's point of views begins with a certain chap called Oscar Wilde. And I remember reading The Selfish Giant when I was I can't remember, I was very, very young. I think it was in primary school, and I think probably a teacher either had it in class or read it to us in class. And I remember being fascinated by a character who was selfish and who was still the hero of the story, and the fact that whilst Oscar, as I call him, gives a voice to this very selfish giant, in doing so, he also gave a voice to the children that feature in the story. And I remember crying my eyes out at the very end of the story. For those of you who haven't read the book, I don't want to give anything away, but for those of you who have, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I loved the fact that Oscar Wilde had given a voice to someone who's almost an anti-hero, but who goes through change and redeems himself. I was also a very big fan of the Little Grey Rabbit books. Now, I'm bringing this up because I think these kind of books led me on to read books like Charlotte's Web and Black Beauty, and gave me an understanding of what animals in particular might go through, or how they might view the world, or how they may be treated by human beings. And I think these kind of books, whether it's Beatrix Potter or the Little Grey Rabbit series or Winnie the Pooh, all of those kind of foundations of making animals have similar traits to human beings. They can feel pain, they can feel unhappy, they can feel scared. All of those kinds of voices are so important to making us into human beings who are kind, not just to each other as human beings, but also to animals. Now, most of my childhood, that I can remember, my reading childhood anyway, featured books by one particular man who I continue to love and adore to this day, and that was, of course, Roald Dahl. I remember being absolutely fascinated by Matilda, to the point where I believed that I could be her. But Matilda is actually quite an abused character. She has horrendous parents, awful head teacher, an awful experience at school, and has to fight back in a way that is quite magical. And I think Roald Dahl really specialised in giving voices to children who were kind of the outsider and unique, or intelligent and brainy, but who are made into heroes. And of course, alongside Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory had to be my other great love, and continues to be a great love. Now Charlie is a boy who, with his family, are living below the poverty line. They are on the brink of starvation, and I think that the fact Roald Dahl brings in these kinds of voices and makes them the centre of his stories, and makes them the heroes and sheroes, is absolutely crucial, because it gives the term underdog and a meaning that we will never ever forget. So these kinds of stories were very, very important to me as a child and as an adult. I still read them every single year, and even more than that sometimes. And I don't have long, so I'm going to jump forward to children's literature and voices within literature that are currently really, really important and exciting. I think the fact that as a girl who became a woman, most of the heroes that I looked up to, or the sheroes I looked up to, were kind of tomboyish, meant that there was a great void in children's literature, bringing forward stories that were missing in the world, greater history, greater subject matters that we might be studying in school. And I remember having endless debates with my teachers about women, and the fact that women's stories were missing in science and in history and in maths. I didn't seem to find any women that I could look up to, apart from the ones that I was reading in literature, like Anne of Green Gables, or Jane Eyre, or who else was there? See, there wasn't very many. Or Mary in The Secret Garden. I mean, those kind of characters were my sheroes, and Jo in Little Women, of course. So I am really excited that actually over the past few years, and the coming years, there's been a great rebirth or birthing of stories to do with women who changed the world, and I absolutely cannot get enough of anything to do with phenomenal books that bring forward to our attention the role of women, and what they have done for us, and not just women in the Western Hemisphere but also Eastern Hemisphere. So for example, this book contains an amazing synopsis of Indira Gandhi's life, which is just absolutely fascinating, and Mary Seacole, and all of these fantastic, beautiful women, both past and present, who are changing the world. And I love that these books are giving a voice to, or restoring voices that existed but have been lost, or were lost to us for a time anyway. Anyway, that's my kind of brief synopsis as to the importance of giving a voice to the abused, to the underdog, to the person or child within the room who people might not take as someone who is heroic straight away. And I hope that you will continue to read lots and lots and lots of other books where you come across characters who are truly groundbreaking, and who give a voice to a world that you might not have thought about, and who might just help you think about the world in a different way. Anyway, that's me. So from myself and Simba, bye.